Welcome, everybody, to the Let Purple Rain podcast. Please like and subscribe. I'm your host, Joe Arpasi, aka Purple Rain. I started my CFF work in 2008. After working in the industry for a while, I stepped away for 8 years before returning in 2024 as Purple Rain. You can find all of my content on letpurplerain.com. Coming up in February, I am going to be publishing an article series on burning questions for the upcoming season and position battles to watch. These will be the perfect primer to get you ready for spring camps. And at the end of the month, I'll be doing a new Let Purple Rain podcast here on YouTube where we'll be recapping some of the burning questions that were in that article series. Also, want to throw out there, check out my CFF apparel shop. I have a link in the description below. I have shorts and long sleeve t-shirts, tons of color options. I got can koozies. There's going to be more designs to come in 2025. It's going to be pretty cool here. Now, going into our topic of the day, we are discussing the way too early 2025 CFF player rankings. For complete coverage, please go down to the link in the description for my article on letpurplerain.com. This YouTube show will be the home of the preview show. I'm going to be reviewing the number 21 through 30 quarterback, running back, and receivers, as well as the number 11 through 20 tight ends on my list. LetPurpleRain.com will be the home of the main show. In that show, I'll be reviewing the top 20 quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers, as well as the top 10 tight ends. LetPurpleRain.com is also the exclusive home to my full list of rankings. There are 380 total players. They'll all be available to view on the website, as well as have a downloadable draft day cheat sheet. The cheat sheet gives you 3 different options that you can print out and use in your fantasy drafts. I have an all FBS list, Power 4 only schools list, and a Group of 5 only schools list. Once again, link is in the description below for the article on Let Purple Rain. And looking here at the rankings, I've designed these for your early fantasy drafts. I'm not looking at this as if you're drafting in August, this is where I think everyone's going to be. I want to make sure that I'm putting a focus on stability of players for what we know now. Upside does get some focus, but it's not getting as big of a focus as stability does in these rankings. If you had to build a team with what we know today, these rankings are to help you ensure that you're going to avoid risk. In late February, I'm going to be doing an update for some of these transfer portal guys that are still floating around out there. So right now, what you're going to see is the late January list of these player rankings, and then I'll have an update at the end of February. Now that I've gotten that all out of the way, let's dive into some college fantasy football. Let's start here with the quarterbacks. At number 21, I've got Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. Number 22, Owen McCowan, UTSA. Number 23, Rocco Beck, Iowa State. Number 24, Sawyer Robertson, Baylor. Number 25, Caitlin Hauser, ECU. Number 26, Josh Hoover, TCU. Number 27, Colton Joseph from Old Dominion. Number 28, Tucker Gleason, Toledo. Number 29, Fernando Mendoza, transfer to Indiana. And rounding out this group, I've got Thomas Castellanos at number 30, transferring over to Florida State. There's some interesting names here. Garrett Nussmeier is a guy who I think you could potentially put a little higher. There's still some uncertainty about receivers there, so that's one reason I have him there. Owen McCowan's a guy I really like, and I really like this UTSA passing game for this year. I just kind of am leaving him here in the 20s, but I think he's a guy who could definitely outperform that. Sawyer Robinson, I definitely think has a great future this year. Caitlin Hauser is another one of those guys. Depending on what happens with that receiver core, he could definitely outperform this number 25 ranking. Colton Joseph is a guy I really like. He's got good rushing potential. We saw him come in toward the end of last year. Not really sure yet exactly where I think he's going to fit in once I start diving into these teams more and we start working toward this summer's draft kit. But Colton Joseph is a name to keep an eye out for. Tucker Gleason coming back, rushing ability. I like that. And Fernando Mendoza, he's a guy I like a lot more than the number 29 ranking on here. But the whole reason why I said at the start of this, I'm trying to make this more safe picks. And Fernando Mendoza, his fantasy value is going to be in if the Indiana coaches allow him to run the ball like they used to. not like they did last year with their quarterback. Just because of that big question mark, that's part of the reason why I've got him kind of pushed down here at 29. And Thomas Castellanos, I think there's a lot of question marks with this Florida State offense, but he seems to be a pretty darn good fit for that staff. Now, looking at running back, we've got LJ Martin coming in at number 21 from BYU. Number 22, Quentin Joyner, transfer over to Texas Tech. 23, we've got Dante Dowdell, transferring over to Kentucky. Number 24, Dylan Carson over at Air Force. Number 25, we got another transfer, Dean Connors, who moved over to Houston. Number 26, Vaughn Blue over at Liberty. 27, Daniel Hishaw, Kansas. Number 28, Kamari Moulton over at Iowa. Number 29, Ahmad Hardy, transferring over to Missouri. And at the 30 spot, I'm putting them together. In the rankings, you're going to see one of them at 30, one of them at 31. But for the sake of this video, I'm putting both Windsor and Baxter here kind of as a two-headed monster at number 30. And you got a kind of a combination of guys who have been at their schools for a while. We kind of have an idea of what to expect from them. If they can stay healthy or if they can stay in their role all year long, they could be pretty good. So that would be guys like LJ Martin, Dylan Carson, and whatever happens with the Texas duo here. Also, a couple guys that have been at their school that look to be stepping up into a new role. Vaughn Blue at Liberty, Daniel Hishaw at Kansas, and Moulton over at Iowa. And then the new transfer guys, because they're transferring, I think especially Quentin Joyner is a guy who could be easily in the top 20. But like I said, I'm trying to be cautious for your early drafts, so I'm pushed him down just a little bit here. I would not be surprised if he rises in that February re-rank an update I'm going to do. But I definitely like this group. You know, definitely you should be targeting these guys. But Quentin Joyner's a guy I really love. Dean Connors is a guy I think also he could get a heavy workload, should be one of the centerpieces of that new offense. And I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with the Liberty, Kansas, and Iowa situations moving forward. Okay, now that we've switched over to wide receivers, let's start with number 21, Brandon Innes at Ohio State. Number 22, Eric Rivers, transferring to Georgia Tech. Number 23, Ryan Wingo at Texas. 24, Eugene Wilson at Florida. Number 25, Chris Dawn over at Texas State. Number 26, Matthew Coleman over at San Jose State. 27, Eric McAllister from TCU. Number 28, we see Kevin Concepcion transferring over to Texas A&M. Number 29 has Jordan Hudson from SMU, and number 30 has Josh Cameron from Baylor. Some interesting names in this one. Brandon Innes, we're curious to see, can he step up and be that solid wide receiver too? He's got two other guys that are returning as starters ahead of him, so we'll see how that goes. Eric Rivers at Georgia Tech, I think, is an interesting one. Obviously, question marks on how well he's going to fill into that offense. Can they maybe get back to some of their 2023 passing numbers over at Georgia Tech? I'm not sure. Big holes opened up in the Texas wide receiver game, which Ryan Wingo, I think, is going to be interesting there. Eugene Wilson, can he finally live up to what we want? He's got a good quarterback now. I think he's going to be a very interesting player. You could potentially put him higher, but question marks with his injuries, I think, is why I've got him pushed down here at 24. Chris Dawn is a guy who looks to be stepping up into a brand new wide receiver one role. We'll see how that turns out. And that's kind of the same thing with Matthew Coleman. There's some question marks there if he will be the guy, but he had a great bowl game. McAllister is another guy who fits that same sort of role. Looks like he's ready to step into a number one role. Kevin Concepcion's a guy I haven't really made up my mind yet on what to expect from him. I kind of have him up here in that 20s range because of his talent, but I have a lot of question marks on him. And then Jordan Hudson, Josh Cameron, these are all guys coming back with returning quarterbacks as well on their team. Switching over to our last group of this video is the tight ends. At number 11, I have Houston Thomas at UTSA. Number 12, I have Benji Gosnell from Virginia Tech. Number 13, Josh Koppenhaver, North Carolina. Number 14, Jack Andrews, Cal. 15, Cameron Maidemir. I probably just said that wrong. Mateer, Arizona State. Number 16, Tradez Green, the breakout player over at LSU. Number 17, Nate Kursky, Louisville. Number 18, Varkey's Gums, moving over to UNLV, we have number 19, Luke Haas, who has transferred over to Mississippi. And at number 20, Demarcus Thomas from South Alabama. Um, Houston Thomas is a guy I really like. I would have him higher if UTSA wasn't playing multiple tight ends last year. I think he definitely has some good upside, and especially in a year where there's a lot of production opened up at the tight end position, and just those question marks with the added guys at tight end is the only thing that's keeping him from being in that top 10. Gosnell's not flashy. He is like your definition of a steady Eddie. But if the quarterback position can stay healthy this year, he can be a dependable guy they can lean to. So he's at not very flashy, but dependable, which is why he's kind of bumped up to the number 12 spot. Um, Jack Andrews is a guy I really like. He had great potential last year. You just have a brand new coaching system and a brand new quarterback competition going on. Those questions have kind of pushed him down my rankings a little here. Trades Green is an interesting one. He was a touchdown monster last year. He could be a lot better than 16, but we just haven't seen a lot of him. And LSU also brought in another transfer tight end. So exactly what his role is going to be, I'm not sure about. Gums is a guy that kind of intrigues me, but there's a lot of question marks there. But this UNLV offense, it does like to work the tight ends a bit. So that's why I've got him bumped up. And Demarcus Thomas, I'm just going to touch on him. Not a big name from last year, not real flashy, but he's a guy established at his position, returning starter, and has a returning quarterback there. So I kind of like all those things lining up, and that's one reason why he's been bumped up to that number 20 spot. I want to thank you for watching the Way Too Early 2025 Player Rankings Preview Show here on the Let Purple Rain podcast. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. LetPurpleRain.com will be home to the main show where I'm going to review the top 20 quarterback, running backs, receivers, and the top 10 tight ends. Remember, LetPurpleRain.com is also the exclusive home to my full list of player rankings that has a total of 380 players in it. You have a downloadable draft day cheat sheet for all FBS Power 4 only or Group of 4 only schools. That link is in the description down below. Go check that out. February at letpurplerain.com. Once again, we have the burning questions for the upcoming season and position battles to watch article series going on. Those are going to be your perfect primer to get you ready for spring camps. At the end of February, I'll be back here on the Let Purple Rain podcast where I'll be recapping some of those burning questions from that article series. And I want to give a shout out here to the website's newest premium subscriber, Rex Holstein. I appreciate you signing up, man. It's awesome. I saw that you literally just signed up yesterday. And he took advantage of the discount I'm offering on annual premium subscriptions with all the amazing talent or content I have coming up here in 2025. It's definitely worth taking that discount, $50 for the entire year. You're going to get everything I offer, every piece of downloadable content. You're not going to miss a thing. And I'm going to have a special contest available only to premium subscribers this year. So if you are set up as a premium subscriber, you will have a chance to be entered in that automatically. You do not have to do a thing. Once again, everyone besides just Rex, I want to thank all of you guys for reading what I have at letpurplerain.com, watching here on YouTube. You're the reason I'm able to keep doing this work. Your support means more than you know, and I'm extremely grateful. Once again, like and subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, check out the winter transfer portals update. You can get caught up on who's moved where in college football. You can find a link on the screen at the end of this video. Thanks for joining the Let Purple Rain podcast. Your CFF reign starts here.